All right, guys, so a nice little strategy or resource which will serve you well in your normal classrooms face-to-face and definitely in the potential distance learning scenario is using forms to collect quick feedback, heads up, these sorts of things from your kids. So let's say you're good about using some sort of historically classical popsicle sticks or having a randomizer. How do you, just kind of ask the kids open-ended questions or sometimes closed-ended questions and gauge their understanding of what it is you are doing in class? There's a ton of ways to do that. I like to use this form here, this is just an exemplar, because it allows me to always have the answers. So let's say in a face-to-face scenario, I could ask 3 or 4 kids one general question, and then I need to make sure I'm kind of keeping on top of my next rotation to get the other 3 or 4 kids, and so there's some sort of consistency. I don't not ask the 3 or 4 kids specifically, but before I ask them specifically, individually, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll get all of the kids to come in here and answer independently. In this bit right here, I use the same form every time. This is just what the stimulus happens to be at that point in time. Like I said, this could be very specific, so it's a one-word answer. They can type it right here. I always ask them to type it other places because it's just easier, especially with the open-ended stuff. They could put, like I said, one word. They could put a paragraph. They could put anything in here that you need to know. It doesn't even have to be like a formative check-in. It could just be like a systematic, logistical thing. If my kids have to write something for homework or anything, I might ask them to turn it in the doc I gave them in classroom or something like that. But I could equally ask them just to copy the content and paste it in here so I can just go super quick, who did it, who didn't do it, and all this stuff pops in on a form on the back end. So all these names are very GDPR compliant. Obviously with any form, things come in a timestamp scenario. A lovely thing about this is, of course, I can see, I can consolidate, haven't used this one much, all of my kids' answers for an entire semester, or in this case, I'll use this one for the entire year. Here, it's just a quick, hey, show me what you have. I don't want it in classroom. I don't want it in the stream. I don't want it in a Zoom chat, because those things also disappear. Open up the film form, put your last name, first name, input the link to what you're working on, put the link to what film you're going to watch this weekend, put the name of your favorite film, anything. And it's just a very quick way. And as we know, as soon as a kid hits enter on their computer, this guy pops up immediately over here. So this could be any stimulus you want your kids to give you. It's never going away because you got the back end. Now, that being said, I also like to use it in a little thing like a warm-up. Same idea, last name, comma, first name. And here they just put their answer. Now, you could choose to use the same form for everything. It's perfectly fine. It's completely up to you. Some of you might just want to have a warm-up form. Now, what's beautiful about this warm-up form is this bit over here, so you can see timestamp is A, B is that last name, first name, and C is whatever your awesome answer is for that question. Now you can do anything with any other column after your A, B, or C. What I have over here is a simple little data validation for not so good, good, and I have a second one which has like good, but with a little clock on it. And these are just little things for me. In the past, I've used like a ATL sort of criteria, a 1, 2, 3, 4, for kind of getting there, almost there, very far from there, and going above there sort of thing. You can decide what your evaluation, your criteria will be. Now, as these things pop in, I'm looking at their answers, and it's either, this one was pretty much right or wrong. This is from a couple years ago. It's a grade 8 English class doing a small unit on various forms of poetry. I think we read something as a warm-up. They had a couple questions, and then I just quickly said, hey, what is this? And it's either right or it's wrong. This kid was right, but I only gave him like 2 minutes to answer, and this kid answered after the fact. Now, once again, this is for a course of a semester or even a year. Now, if I put this in alphabetical order, I have all of Dan Delaney's answers for the entire, in this case, it looks like a semester. Now, I can just do this little number right over here, and I can eyeball it. Okay, this kid's got this. No, 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 yes, yes, no. Very good, I guess. Or I can just click on this little insert chart. Pie chart will pop up first because it just makes sense to Google. And I have this very graphic representation of what the guy has. So 53.3% of his answers over the course of a semester were just wrong, which isn't good, assuming. You'll know what your questions were and what the potential correct answers or an acceptable answer. The same thing with the 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria. They're ATLs. And if your kid is meeting expectations, which might be a 3, 70% of the time, then that kid's probably doing a pretty good job with their home learning or whatever the stimulus is. And I can just, I can delete it, and I will delete it. There we go. And you can just, eyeball your kids. I'll do with this Ishmael person here. And you get the idea. Chart. And then there's 47% not so good, 17.6% not good and taking too long. Only 11.8% of the time they answered in an appropriate amount of time and had a correct or acceptable answer, and had an acceptable or correct answer 23.5% of the time, but took too much time or over the allotted time to answer. So it's a simple thing. It's like, okay, do you ask kids questions? Of course you do. Do you ask them to respond in front of other people? Maybe. Do you want all of your kids to answer every single time? Yeah, of course. Well, this will do it. And, of course, if you want to go back and look at some sort of trends, great. Think about the things you ask your kids to do at the beginning of the class, things you want to track in terms of just a quick heads up where the kids are at with current content, home learning, anything like that where you can gauge their interaction with text or with work or anything like that. And this is a pretty simple tool to set up. If you want any help with this or want to see these exemplars, just give me a shout out and I'll come by and help you. And it's a lot of fun. I've been using this for a while, by all means.